Hi everyone, this is Daryl, founder of Overmugged. Every year, together with my team of tutors, we work with thousands of students to help them excel at their national exams. However, one thing that set many students back is procrastination. The scary truth is that we only have 24 hours a day. And why is it that for some people, they seem to be able to accomplish so much within a day, while some of us can only get barely any work done? Now, the answer is simple. For high achievers, they have figured out a systematic way to stop procrastinating. Now, we all need to acknowledge that it is human nature that we delay or push back tasks that we don't really want to do. But we all know that procrastination will ultimately hurt our productivity and only make things worse as we accumulate all the work till the end. So, how do you exactly stop procrastination? In today's video, I'll be sharing with you how you can create a system that eliminates procrastination completely and vastly improve your productivity so that you can have more spare time to do what you truly love. Step 1. Set SMART goals. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Let's start with the first one, specific. Specific means that you will have narrowed down your goal to very specific tasks that needs to be completed. The more specific, the better. Now, for example, you can say complete math homework. You can say finish revising chapters on kinematics and recapping all key formulas. Your specific task could be seek feedback on essay from your teacher, or practice mind map for organic chem and ask teacher for areas of improvement. What you need to understand is that the more specific you are with your task, the clearer it will be in terms of the actions you need to take. If you have a vague task like revise physics, it will be very unclear in terms of what you need to do exactly, and it will actually be very daunting to tackle this seemingly impossible task. So what I suggest is keeping each task to something that you can complete within an hour or so. If the assignment is very big, split it up into multiple parts. You will also find that it will be much easier to slot in this 1 hour blocks into your schedule to maximize your empty pockets of time. I often notice my students coming to my tuition classes early to complete their homework. By having smaller tasks, you'll find it less intimidating to get started as well. Never fall into the trap of not doing anything just because there's simply too much to be done. Also, remember to celebrate the small wins. I recommend keeping a task list on your phone or a post-it board. Every time you complete a task, tick off that checkbox or remove that post-it note from the board. That way, you feel a real sense of progress as you go along. Next, making sure that your goal is measurable. Now, measurable means it's a task with a tangible output. Something that is measurable would be something like finish the TYS topical chapter on chemical bonding and grade it. This gives you a very clear endpoint to when you can determine when you exactly finish the task. Now, if you put it in a very vague way, you can't really determine when you actually finish. So try to make it as measurable as possible. It can also be something like finish revising and self-test on all key formulas in electricity. Note down the total score. Now, something else I want you all to note is that a measurable goal is one whereby you can track how well you're doing. So for the above examples, how many questions do you score correctly for the TOS topical revision? Or out of all the formulas in the electricity chapter, how many do you get it right? How many do you get it wrong? Or things that you have left out? A measurable goal ensures that you're not making false progress when you thought that you have learned the content, but in reality, you did not actually make any real improvement. So using the total score or the number of errors, you are then able to track your learning and to compare against to see if you are making any real progress. So remember to always make your goals measurable in order to track progress. Next, your goals should be achievable. Achievable goals are targets that are realistic and attainable. So if you set a goal to achieve A1 in 2 weeks when you're currently scoring a C5, you'll simply get crushed or burn yourself out trying. So the best way to set achievable goals is to determine what's your final goal and start working backwards from there, factoring in your timeline. Now, for example, if you have 4 months left to your O levels and you're aiming to score at least a A2 while you're currently a C5, what you can do is to set milestones to hit. This could mean setting a shorter term goal to score at least a B4 for your prelims and a consistent B3 when it comes to practicing and doing your TYS yearly papers. You can then leverage on the mock exams conducted by your school or tuition center to strive for that A2 when it's nearing O levels. That way, your long-term goal of hitting an A2 will feel a lot more realistic and attainable. You will not feel that stressed or overdo yourself till you burn out prematurely. So remember to set your final goal and work backwards from there instead. Next, making sure that your goals are relevant. Relevant goals are ones which contributes to the longer picture, the longer term goal here. If your goal is to score an A1 for O levels, I want you to consider what is it that it will take in order for you to achieve that long-term goal. This could mean breaking it down into smaller tasks, such as getting ample practices, revising key concepts, spending more time working on your weaker topics, clarifying doubts for chapters that you're not as confident in, or testing yourself with time practices. While scoring an A1 might seem to be a very big and lofty goal, smaller relevant goals help to keep you on track to get you to the final ultimate goal. You can think of relevant goals as like the building blocks or pillars that will help you create the foundation to this very big building that you're constructing. Lastly, ensure that your goals are time-bound. Time-bound goals requires you to put a certain duration or deadline to each goal. Revising key formulas in electricity is specific, but not time-bound. Revising key formulas in electricity by this Friday, or revising key formulas in electricity in 30 minutes. This adds the element of time frame to your goal. Setting the time frame element is key to ensuring that you do not procrastinate on the actions you need to take. Ultimately, SMART goals ensure that you are clear on the actions you need to take, how much, whether it's realistic, how do you track progress, and by when. This creates a system where you're very clear on the actions that needs to be taken and therefore eliminates procrastination. Setting SMART goals allows you to take action when needed. So when your homework and your revision starts to pile up, it would feel very unmanageable and simply sometimes very overwhelming. So this will cause you to feel very resistant to get started because there's simply too much to be done. So instead, start setting SMART goals, and that will put you one step towards eliminating procrastination. Now, after setting SMART goals, the next thing you should do in step 2 is to find your ideal study zone. Now, it's extremely difficult to concentrate when your environment is full of distractions. This could come in the form of your friends talking, you getting notifications on your phone, or just a noisy space that has a lot of distracting stuff going on. It is essential that you find a conducive space where you can actually fully concentrate and get focused work done. Places that are conducive, in my opinion, will be places like school libraries, quiet cafes, or even public study spots. For our own Overmugged students, do head down to the branches to study and enjoy the snacks. Now, for those of you who study at home, try to find a separation between your place of rest and your place of work. Your mind would tend to associate a certain place to a certain activity. So it is simply healthier to separate your study spot from your resting place. For example, if your bedroom is your place to rest and relax, I advise against studying on your bed, for example. You kind of want to have that separation. Generally, when studying at home, it's quite convenient and accessible, but unless your home provides a very conducive environment with minimal distraction, I actually recommend heading out to study. The very act of leaving your house, heading to somewhere else, will narrow your mind to the specific task that you should be doing. Now, for myself, I'll head to the gym to work out. I'll head to our centers to prepare for my classes and to teach my students. And I head home to rest and relax. Being able to fix a specific place for a specific activity is a very good way to train yourself to be focused on your task at hand. So spend some time to discover your ideal study zone and pick the study spot that fits you the best. And after that, stick with it and make that your study zone. And when you're in your study zone, you really need to put all distractions aside. Trust me when I say that there will be nothing life-threatening that's going to happen in the 2 hours that you put your phone away to do focus work. The best way to go about this is to imagine that every time you're doing focus work in your study zone, it's almost like an actual exam, where there should be zero distractions and strictly no phones. The study zone is really meant to be somewhere where you're able to do deep focus work, whereby nobody should be distracting you. You'll be surprised how much work you can actually complete if you simply sit down and do 2 hours of deep work. As an additional tip, I recommend nothing longer than 2 hours, as anything more than that would diminish in productivity and you will not be able to absorb knowledge as effectively. So what you want to do is to split your study zone into 2-hour blocks. You can take a well-deserved break between each block to have a meal or simply unwind by taking a stroll. I would recommend at least one study block on one study block on weekdays when you have your regular school, and ideally 2 if you can fit it in your schedule. On the weekends, try to maximize your time and aim for at least 3 study blocks. So that would mean 6 hours in total on the weekends. The upper limit will be 5 blocks of 2 hours, or at maximum 10 hours in total. Anything beyond that is honestly not going to be as productive, as your brain capacity will not really allow you to absorb any more information. So what you should do is to plan exactly what you're going to do for each study block and make sure you set a SMART goal for yourself for each study block. And next, in step 3, I want you to train yourself to hold yourself accountable. By holding yourself accountable, you ensure that you get work done and avoid procrastinating. The first thing you need to realize is that you need to take charge of your own learning. Nobody, not even your teacher or your parents, are responsible for your learning progress. So learn to take accountability for your own academics and hold yourself accountable. So how exactly do you create a system to keep yourself accountable? After creating SMART goals and portioning your time blocks out at your study zone, what you need to do is to create an angel and a devil. Okay, let me elaborate on this. The angel will be the reward that you will give yourself if you complete the task within the time block. This doesn't have to be something crazy. It could be something small like a snack, a drink, or even a 10-minute window to use your phone to browse social media. On the flip side, the devil is something that will happen if you do not complete the assigned task within the time block. It has to be something that you will hate. Now, this means maybe having to delete one item in your game, banning yourself from using your social media for the rest of the day, or forcing yourself to give away one of your collectibles. The more harsh you are with the devil, the more effective it will be. Now, let me be abundantly clear here. This only works if you hold yourself accountable to the angel and the devil. If you do not follow through on your angel and devil, this strategy will not work at all. But give yourself a chance to try this out. And after a few tries, you'll naturally be drawn more towards the angel. When the devil appears, don't avoid the punishment, embrace it. But here's a fun fact. After you receive the punishment a few times, let that pain be a useful reminder to always stay accountable to yourself. An additional bonus tip is to actually do a public declaration. How this works is by announcing what you're going to accomplish for the day. This declaration can be within your group chat with your friends, on your IG story, or even just to your best friend itself. At the end of the day, you will then have to declare if you accomplished the task that you set up for yourself. Human psychology dictates that we like to be consistent and to be viewed as trustworthy. So by doing a public declaration, you're putting yourself out there in order to hold yourself accountable. If you don't follow through on your actions, now others would know, and the association with being shamed will serve as an additional motivation for you to get shit done. Now, don't negotiate with yourself and find excuses to wiggle your way out when the devil is supposed to do its thing. There will come a point in your life where you understand that all your actions or the lack thereof will come with consequences. If you don't hold yourself accountable, you will suffer when you receive your grades. So I'd rather you feel the small pinches early rather than failing majorly when it actually matters. Now, one motto that I stick with is to study hard, play hard. I genuinely don't think it's all about study and no play because that is just simply boring. But instead, what I always tell myself is that when it's time to study, I'll put my full focus and get work done so that I can enjoy my downtime fully without feeling guilty. You need to hold yourself accountable and take ownership of your own actions. Self-discipline is about knowing what needs to be done and making sure you complete it, no excuses. Self-discipline is ultimately simply making the hard choices that you know you should do. Now, in conclusion, learn to set SMART goals, find your study zone, and set time blocks for focused work. And lastly, use the angel and devil to hold yourself accountable, doing a public declaration on top of it to smooth it all out. Now, what you have done is you have created a system to completely eliminate procrastination and greatly improving your productivity, getting more work done in less time. You have learned to make more time for other things that you love, or simply having more time to rest and sleep. Understand this. Everybody have 24 hours in a day, so it's not about not having enough time, but how do you be more efficient with your time, doing more with less? Remember, overcoming procrastination will take time and practice, but with persistence and the right system, you can break that habit. Now that we come to the end of the video, if you wish to win a copy of our highly in-demand curated notes worth up to $50, you have a chance to do so. The curated notes cover the entire syllabus, contains concise concept recaps, commonly tested work examples, and precise answering technique that you'll need to master to score well in your exams. All you need to do to win a copy is to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and leave a comment on what other topic you'd like us to discuss next. We will select a winner for each video and send the winner a copy of our curated notes for free. So don't miss this awesome reward. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below right away. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.